What's up, guys? Guy here. It is Friday morning, a rare Friday, a very different schedule for me this week because I'm not calling a college football game, not calling an NFL game. I don't think this will be my last show before next week, scheduled to do the post-game Rams reaction YouTube as usual, but things happen with a baby due on Tuesday. Who knows? Producer Connor is here as well, and he'll weigh in on some of this. He wrote some stuff over at his Substack. Very upset about the lack of movement at the trade deadline, so we'll see if I can calm him down. The 49ers will decide on Friday whether or not Brock Purdy is in uniform, not starting, but in uniform, maybe as a backup quarterback or an emergency quarterback on Sunday when the Niners take on the Rams' big game. I have a very clear vision of what I would do and not do with Brock Purdy, and what I would not do with Brock Purdy, given that it feels like at this point his foot injury will not be fully healed until the season ends, is I would wait as long as possible to play him. Meaning I would keep riding with Mac Jones until I need Brock Purdy or until people tell me Brock Purdy's 100% good to go, which, it doesn't seem like based on Kyle Shanahan's media availabilities and his press conference comments that's about to happen. What people talk about with this toe injury, it doesn't feel like that's about to happen. I think what I would be trying to protect against is bringing Purdy back, it immediately getting worse again, Purdy playing a game, then not, whether he plays well or not, making it worse, then not being available the following week, then Mac Jones coming in. Mac Jones, who has played excellent football, but has felt to me to be like on the verge of every week, there's a moment where you go, why is he limping? Or why is he slow to get up? And then you get Mac hurt, and now Brock's not available because you got him hurt. And Mac's not available. I think you cover your bases better if you keep Brock Purdy on ice as long as you possibly can, with the hope that you don't need him, but the very real possibility that at some point you will. Because Mac Jones, there's a long way to go. This is only week 10, taking a lot of hits, and feels like he's on the verge. Now, does that mean you dress Brock up as QB2? To me, yes, that does. That does. But until you tell me Brock Purdy's healthy, why am I replacing healthy Mac Jones with not healthy Brock Purdy? And I'm no doctor. Maybe want to use a doctor. It does feel like the second he gets back on the field, we start like chipping away at the level of health he has with that turf toe injury. So that's where I'm at. At this point, we don't know. The practice on Friday, they'll determine. We may not find out until 11:55 a.m. on Sunday whether or not Brock Purdy's in uniform. But that's where I'm at with that. This is also the first show since the no trade deadline for the 49ers. So there's this debate like, well, they made trades before the deadline, weeks before the deadline. Should I be satisfied with that, or should I be mad that we didn't get Quinnen Williams? We'll get to that and, Rams game and Brandon Ayuk. So anyway, that's where I'm at with Brock. I think that's the most the Orlovsky comments I'll get to. I thought they were interesting because I actually think they're not controversial, but can be controversial, right? What did Dan Orlovsky say this week? There's a brewing quarterback competition, whatever you want to call it, in San Francisco. Brock Purdy's a really good player. Mac Jones has been sensational. He's doing it with people who've been beat up, starting perimeter player who haven't been healthy. He's been knocked around. Yet with all those injuries, they're still in the race. There's a quarterback controversy brewing. There's going to be 7 or 8 teams that are looking for a starting quarterback next year. He's absolutely proven to be one of the best 32 quarterbacks. So how do you say this isn't dramatic, but also kind of agree with the fundamental that they've got 2 quarterbacks, and you'd have to be blind to see that they've got 2 quarterbacks that are good? Well, I mean, the first thing is you kind of get off the hook because Brock's hurt. And by being hurt, you don't really have to do anything right now. But I do think it's, so interesting that Mac Jones signed a 2-year contract. And I haven't quite understood yet why Mac Jones would sign a 2-year contract, seeing what Sam Darnold did. That's Orlovsky's point, is you could trade him. You could trade him after this year. But, my argument at this point, my stance at this point would be, why would you? Unless you're getting a first-round pick, I don't think you're getting a first or even a second-round pick for Mac Jones, even if he takes you to the NFC Championship game. Well, maybe you'd get a second. He's so cheap. You keep him around, and you see what happens. Does the toe heal properly? What happens in 2026? So I think you're a ways away from this being a problem. Right now, what this is a solution. Could it be a problem? It could be, but a lot of things can happen before this becomes a problem to prevent it from being a problem. Mac Jones injury, Brock health, Brock comes back and plays better than Mac, Mac tails off, whatever. Like there's a million things that can happen before this is a problem. But I also think it would be foolish to pretend like it could never be a problem. Well, Brock signed his big contract. Yeah, Mac's under contract next year. So Brock gets hurt again, Mac plays well again, and then you have a decision to make, as every quarterback contract with the 49ers has. There's always like some day in April where you go, oh, wait a second. They could get off the hook for $55 million guaranteed if they make a decision today. So that day's coming, maybe not. Here's what I know right now. This is a solution. It's not a problem. It's a solution. It's not a problem. And given that Brock's foot is not about to be totally healthy, I wouldn't rush him back, given how well Mac Jones is playing. You don't need to. Like in this situation, why do you ever rush a guy back when your team's winning, playing well? The guy replacing him is playing well. The only reason to rush him back, I guess, would be to establish like, no, he's still the starter. And I don't think Kyle's going to do that. But I would love to see him play too. But right now we've got a solution. All right. With that as my opening comments, let's bring in producer Connor, who you can read over at his Substack, Joe Co Show, where he does power rankings and 49ers reactions. And we'll link that down in the YouTube description and the podcast description. And, he's been following all of this very closely. So I did not tell Connor my take on the quarterback situation at this point. Where are you at on how quickly you'd bring Brock back?
Yeah, there's no rush. I think they learned their lesson, right? Bringing him back for the Jacksonville game to re-injure that toe. And so
you would hope. Now, Mac was hurt that week too, right?
That's right. But Mac Jones playing at a high level. He's also so likable. He also clearly says this is Brock's team. Like he has a complete understanding of his role. And I think that helps. Brock is the long-term plan. And that is, there's no sense in rushing him back, like you said, when they're 6-3. Now, the one thing about trading Mac Jones, maybe after this season, is you can control him not going to a division rival. Like Darnold went after the QB recovery system he's now at the Seahawks playing really well. Mac Jones, last thing we want is him to go to the Cardinals and take over that team.
Go to the Cardinals.
No, I'm kind of kidding there. But no, I think with Mac, playing at a high level, winning games, doing what he's asked to do, and then being extremely tough and just taking so many hits on front of that line. I think there's no sense to rush him back. Now, 3 weeks down the road, it could completely flip and, they're very desperate. Then do they rush Brock back? Potentially. But at this point in time, Mac Jones has beat the Rams. He's looked good in all of those games he's been in. 5 wins as a backup quarterback. Are you kidding?
It's unbelievable. I go back to my original statement before we get to the Orlovsky stuff, which clouds the water a little bit, is just right now Brock is a safety net because he's close to being a safety net, right? If Mac gets hurt, you're close enough, it feels like, to health with Purdy that you could get a game or two out of him at minimum.
Yeah.
If he comes back and gets hurt and then you're back to Adrian Martinez, if Brock, and then it's all of a sudden Brock's out another 6 weeks, we're doing this again.
Right.
That to me is where you really get yourself in trouble. So if you shave away all the controversy, the Orlovsky, all that other stuff, and just go, what makes the most sense right now? To me, what makes the most sense right now is having Purdy at least at a serviceable health level in case Mac Jones gets hurt. Because the one thing at this point that can tank your season is neither one of those guys is available.
Yes. And you have Christian McCaffrey trying to throw, passes in the NFC title game.
Right.
Can you bring Purdy back without him playing to his full potential and that he scrambles and runs on the toe? Can he control that if he's in the game? Probably not, right?
Probably not. And I just
have to keep him on the leash.
I don't see the value right now, the way that Mac is playing, in bringing Brock back if he's not, he brings such an added element that Mac Jones doesn't have. Yeah. His ability to run, I don't remember what the stat is now, but at the beginning of last year, I think he was third, I want to say, in the league in first down rushes for quarterbacks. He had 21 rushes for first downs last year, which was top 3. I think it was top 3. It was without a doubt top 5 in the NFL. I want to say it was third. But if he's not that guy, then what's the point? I'm not saying that's the only thing that makes him better, but
after watching Mac, I think that is. In a way, Mac, I know it's this season and, last year Brock was a little forcing it, but this year Mac's looked like it's Brock and Mac, maybe Brock at his full potential with the scrambling ability. That is what separates him. But right now, they're the same player and Mac's playing better. So I think you roll with Mac.
I also think it's so like there's such a human element to this, which is when you're the backup guy who's not the guy, it's all gravy.
Yep.
That is a very different experience than being the guy that just got paid $250 million and the whole thing rested. Now it's like, all right, bro, go prove it. That's a different place to be. It is.
The expectations are phenomenal. Yeah.
It's just a very, it's hard to quantify it, but it's like if you said, all right, tomorrow they trade Brock Purdy and they pay Mac Jones $250 million, which is not happening. The Mac Jones, we all start looking at it through a different lens, and maybe he starts becoming a different player, right? That's a very different type of pressure.
It's like in the scramble when like the 20 handicap is like, I'm bad, and it just starts performing. No expectations, but
exactly.
Damn.
do it again tomorrow, and
right.
tomorrow, and that's why you're 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
but yeah, I mean, Mac's playing good. There's no sense in taking him out. And the controversy, I don't think everyone on the team knows it's Brock's team. So I think Mac's made a good job of letting people know that.
Yeah. All right. The Niners did not make a trade at the deadline. They made trades. You wrote about this over at Joko Show, where you have the Niners right now, somehow behind the 3-5 Ravens in your power ranks. The Niners are 13. Guys, if you've not jumped in on DraftKings yet, that's okay, because this is the week to do it. Become a new customer right now with the code GUY2025. You bet $5, and if your bet wins, you instantly get $300 in bonus bets. Plus, either way, you get 3 months of NBA League Pass on us. I've teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, and then you can stay in on the action using those bonus bets for live in-progress games. Many of you have taken advantage of it, but if you haven't, you're in luck, because this is a great week. Since Golden State plays 4 huge games, San Francisco is back home with a huge divisional game this week, and DraftKings Sportsbook is the place to be. So again, if you're a new customer, use the code GUY2025. All you have to do is bet $5. If your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets. And either way, you're going to get 3 months of NBA League Pass on us. You're upset. Minimal trade deadline movement has a fan base frustrated as the 6-win Niners are in the thick of the NFC playoff picture with an 84% playoff chance. If the defense can generate disruptive pass rush, Keon White, by the way, hopefully he plays this week.
Right.
So was this emotional, or where are you at now a few days removed from the trade deadline? Because I did not do a show right after the trade deadline. I wasn't able to.
Very emotional. This was off the heels of every week. Look at the athletic playoff picture. The Niners went from 73% to make the playoffs to 82%. They're in the best division, one of the best divisions in the NFL. However, they have Christian McCaffrey that is on pace for 2,100 all-purpose yards. We just talked about Mac Jones is playing at an extremely high level. The offense should be getting pieces back, air quotes. We don't fully know. But the key guy is, we talked about all offseason, the schedule. Who do the Niners play? Now, I know it shook out a little bit differently. Every year in the NFL, it does that. The Niners have the 25th toughest remaining strength of schedule. They have the Titans at home. They have the Bears at home.
7th easiest.
7th easiest. They have the Browns on the road, but that's Dylan Gabriel. The Panthers at home, which, the Panthers are looking better. The Cardinals at home. There are several wins in that schedule. And the fact that they couldn't, muster up something to just make a trade. And what I think about a lot is the Houston Texans game. CJ Stroud was 3rd and 7. He just stood in the pocket for what felt like 25 seconds, no pass rush, and he just completed a 3rd and 7. I've seen enough from the secondary. I've seen enough from the young linebackers to be like, this team, with a little help from the pass rush, can actually win and get stops and make bigger plays. Perfect example is Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff was a solid guy. It was a great signing, and he's looked really good. Well, guess what? He got injured too. Everyone is getting injured. You also need to make a trade for depth. Like, I don't fully understand it. And the last
Isn't
thing
that what Keon White is? Depth, not splash.
And look, where is he at? He's potentially.
I know, but isn't that the formula?
Yeah, but you also I was arguing, go for a bigger knockout punch. There's a lot of available talent, and I know they're weighing the options and the trade calculators and whatnot. 2 more points. It's a very weird NFL season. Now, I know the Rams and the Seahawks right in front of you are scorching hot, right? Middle of the season, they're 2 MVP potential candidates, and Darnold and Matt Stafford. But last week we saw the Lions and Packers almost as double-digit favorites lose at home. Yeah, it's just there's no really. It's all reshuffling in the NFC, and I mean anything can happen. You remember 2021, the Niners made that run. This reminds me of the 2021 season kind of flipped to where there was a pretty injured season. The Niners got hot, won 7 of the last 9 or 10 games, and made the NFC title push. And then the very last thing, guys, Robert Saleh. He's not guaranteed to be the Niners defensive coordinator next year. Like you have all these things, the schedule, Robert Saleh, Mac Jones playing at a high level, Christian McCaffrey, knock on wood, is healthy right now. And you weren't aggressive because you wanted to not get fleeced, quote unquote. But I mean, I just thought it was a really good opportunity to, go gas pedal and just see what happens.
I thought the Sauce Gardner trade was crazy. The guy that I really liked is Quinnen Williams. Like Jalen Phillips as a rental with an ACL history doesn't appeal a ton to me, even though he's a very good player.
Yeah.
Like Quinnen Williams is really attractive, but you had to trade a player plus a first, a 2027 first, and a 2026 second round pick. So it's not rich, but you're getting a really good player. And to your point, like I did think about this with Quinnen, help out the next guy if Saleh's not back. Help out the next guy with a player that is really valuable to you. And maybe it's Gus. I think at this point, if you had to put a prediction on it, maybe it'd be Gus Bradley. Although, who was it on the show? It was Cam Inman said, what about Raheem Morris if he gets fired in Atlanta? Would be an interesting one for Kyle because that's part of the Shanahan tree. I also think, and nobody will like this because there's like, how do you say you're trying to win a championship, but then not do literally everything you possibly can to win a championship? But I think there's a compounding effect of having not won the Super Bowl that makes it feel like every year now you've got to double down to win a championship. And the hardest thing to do is to act like you've been there before when you haven't. Can you have the patience of a team that has won a championship? Because that's the right way to do it, even if you haven't won that championship, right? And I think that's the healthy place to be, because what I see when I look at this team is evidence of how, like, you see some of the pieces that help you build that you drafted, and I think one of the unfortunate parts of this year for all the guys that are out and hurt is one of the guys that seems to be hurt and in. It was going to be a big year for Dominic Purdy, the right guard. Admittedly, he didn't adjust last year. The league adjusted to him. And Chris Forster, the offensive line coach, was very forthcoming about that. That at the end of the year, there were so many technical things that Purdy didn't have time to learn before the season that broke down. And he was not the same player at the end of the year that he was at the beginning of the year. And I thought this was a huge year to find out, is Dominic Purdy like a nice pick who's solid, or is he truly, I'm not going to say Mikey Apati, but kind of like your right guard of the future for a long time, solid, lock it down. And I don't think we have that answer this year.
Right.
Now, I think he's not healthy watching him. He got hurt in that Raider game. I think he might have in the preseason. And I don't, he got hurt before that, and then he got hurt again. He got hurt in in the first preseason game, I think. I don't remember exactly how it played out, but preseason feels like a lifetime ago. But anyway, like when I look at this team, I see guys who need to be on the field playing, and maybe next year, guys you drafted who can turn into something more. And you see so many holes. Like Quinnen Williams fills a hole. There's no question about it. But there's still so many more holes.
But next year, there's no guarantee anyone's going to be healthy next year at this rate. And you have, I don't know. True. I mean, like you have the schedule, and you've already won 6 games, and games you almost like you won the Rams, and now you also have the NFC, the Seahawks and the Rams at home. So like the reason is the context, you're in this spot.
Yeah.
And you also have a home Super Bowl. If you're going to let the Rams and Seahawks walk to a home Super Bowl,
or the Eagles,
that's just.
Is there anybody in the NFC that wouldn't piss you off?
No, geez, I think to tier it'd be Seahawks, Rams, Eagles.
Eagles would be third. I'd rather the Seahawks play Super Bowl if I stayed with the Eagles.
No, I don't.
I would rather the Seahawks. The Eagles to me feel last. Like or first, I guess, on that list.
Gosh. Yeah. Give me the Lions, maybe. I don't know. But I just,
none of them feel good. I mean, I understand. Like, I guess, and I hate doing this. It happens all the time in college football and coaching searches where like a team will want to fire a coach and everyone will say to them, oh, just be happy with 8 wins. Like, that's who you are.
Yeah.
And there's this fine line of like knowing who you are and not firing somebody who's actually doing a good job for your job. And also not being afraid to dream bigger. Like, no, why do we have to be just an 8-win team? Why can't we, in college, it's funny because like the powerhouses are in places that don't necessarily, they're not economic centers of America.
SEC, yeah.
Yeah. And yet it's like Athens, Georgia is where one of the best teams in the country reside. So like you're sitting there in Pullman, Washington, you're like, well, why not us? Or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Gonzaga basketball is a great example of this. Like, why not us? Right? Connor's a big Gonzaga guy.
Yep.
So, like, I get it. But I do think it's reasonable to take a step back. Okay. You add Quinn, you trade a 1 and a 2 and a player for Quinn and Williams. For what, really? And don't get me wrong, out of this other side of my mouth, I'm going to say, all you got to do is get into the dance, win a game. You never know. All that's true. It's a really tough balance. It's a really tough balance.
Yeah. It was just frustrating, the feeling of punting on the season when you're sitting here with
Isn't that an extreme take? Like they did make trades.
Okay.
They did add players.
Let's just see how it plays out.
Arden Key 10 minutes before the deadline.
That's like a quarterback punt. Lines up on 4th down. No, I mean, let's just see. My thing is, I think we'll see. Maybe Bryce Huff goes out, balls out. Maybe Keon White is phenomenal. But one of the most frustrating things to watch as a fan is the lack of pass rush and just getting picked apart. And I'm guessing that might happen. Game script's going to flip. Niners have to throw the ball. I don't know. Like this is kind of how I see it going. But I hope I'm wrong. But maybe they did enough. Maybe they did enough. Maybe they somehow have enough depth back there. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Even the other day when Jackson Dart, like it feels like even my wife Alyssa was like, I feel like this happens all the time. I'm like, yeah, actually it does. It was like 2 guys. It happened with Baker. It happened with Russell. It's happened with Kyler. It happened with Caleb Williams. Where it's like he can't get out of there. He's sacked, and then he's out for a 17-yard run on 3rd and 15. It's like, but it's crazy because it's happened to Bosa. It's happened to everybody. I mean, it's brutal.
Quarterbacks are also sometimes strong. So,
I mean, if you want if you want Jalen Phillips, shouldn't you let him finish the season healthy and then sign him next year as opposed to adding him this year and having him get hurt?
I mean, that's the way that was a tough order question. Having him get hurt. I mean, what about Will McDonald was kind of another one, or even Chubb? Chubb is signed to a kind of a bigger contract. So
I don't. What was he like? $20 million next year?
31.
Or 31. Don't love that.
I don't know if they could restructure that. Get on that. But I mean, Will McDonald has 2 years left, or a year, and then his 5th year. He played with Robert Saleh. Yeah, that might have been second, but. Could you flip him later on? I don't know. Like it's just also what's wrong with depth? What's wrong with someone outside of Bosa? And Bosa's coming off an ACL, so it's like this could also be for next season too. And Michael, like this is maybe not just this year. This could also be for 2026.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I got it out, but we'll just see how this.
No, I think a lot of people. I get it. I do. I'm not poo-pooing that at all. I get it. Getting close, by the way. I'm old. I don't know about you. To quote the late great Bill Walton, who I worked with a few times, and I know you admired as a college basketball fan. It's not the same without him to have another college basketball season without Bill. But the line I use a lot that he used is, "I'm old enough to." Are you old enough to remember? And then he says something that just happened, like in the first half. Like, I'm old enough to remember when Ricky Pearsall was one of the best receivers of the NFL. He's out on the practice field working to get back. Brandon Ayuk practice window not yet open.
Yeah, let's talk receivers.
We're week 10, and there's a lot of like, maybe around week 8.
Right, week 7, week 8,
and there's really no buzz on Ayuk. That's the one. That's not that he's not back. But then, Lynch understands that because he made a comment the other day about how severe the knee injury was.
It almost, I don't know, like every week on, I think Thursday, Lynch goes on KNBR. It felt like maybe this could be misremembering, but it felt like one week it was like Ayuk's close, and the next week Ayuk's not close. It just doesn't feel, I don't know. It feels so far away, and then it feels right there. So I just, I'm not going to believe it till I see it. I mean, Pearsall, hopefully, do you have any idea what's your expectation for Pearsall's?
I mean, once you start practicing again, or at least working it on the side, and I haven't charted this, but I think that doesn't that generally kind of mean you're a couple weeks away from really being back? Like maybe you get back on the practice field the next week and then you get back the following week. I think what's interesting about this, the one thing I'll add is you would not drop a schedule this way with a week 14 bye. And that schedule doesn't hurt. I mean, it doesn't help guys that are out for the year, obviously. But I do think it's interesting when you look what they have until their bye. Rams this week, Cardinals on the road, Panthers at home, Browns on the road, bye, Tennessee at home, Indy, Dome, Chicago home, Seattle home. I said the other day after they beat the Giants, and some people reacted like I was saying the Giants win was significant. It was just, what was significant was it was a W in a column. It didn't matter to me who you beat. But if you can go 4-4 the rest of the way, and Seattle is one of those 4, Chicago is one of those 4, and Carolina is one of those 4, that to me is you are in the playoffs. And really, you could argue just Seattle being one of those 4 puts you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I do see just the recipe for them to, okay, what if Ayuk is still a month away? Maybe that's not the worst thing. He comes back for Titans, Colts, Bears, Seahawks. I mean, you would argue, I guess the Panthers by record right now would be in there, but of your remaining schedule, your 3 toughest games are probably Rams, Colts on the road, Seahawks at home.
Speaking of something you hear a lot in college, you control your own destiny, but they really do. They have the way the schedule broke this year. The Panthers are a surprise story, but luckily you get that game at home in prime time, which they usually feel like perform pretty well.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Bears down the road. And so, yeah. And then we were kind of talking earlier, but the Browns is always a tough one. Cleveland, cold, who knows the weather. Defense is phenomenal, but it's Dylan Gabriel. You should be able to beat Dylan Gabriel. Or I don't know.
It's not Paul DePodesta anymore.
At least it's not Flacco. That's actually a good thing.
At least it's not Flacco, yeah.
But yeah, I mean the schedule again, it's sort of breaking, but yeah, there's the Rams, Colts, and Seahawks. Those are on paper the hardest. What would your ideal week bye week be?
Maybe this week.
Week 10. Yeah. I wonder what the players would say. I
think generally people like it in the middle. I mean,
yeah,
2 bye weeks would be good. A lot of college teams have 2 now.
Mm-hmm. And then they have, and then they have a Division II team right before their rival game. And
yeah, that's right. That's right. But in the Big Ten, they don't play that. They don't do that. They just have 2 byes and then continue on with conference play, unless you're Notre Dame SC. So, all right, good. That's that for this, right? Anything to add?
No, I mean Niners Rams. Niners are 4.5 point underdogs at home.
Yeah.
Shanahan's 11-7 against McVay, and 7-3 against the spread, according to some sources.
7-3. Okay, he's got a 7-3 record when he's an underdog.
No, against the spread. Kyle Shanahan 7-3 against the spread. So that doesn't mean anything for a Niner win. I mean, Rams are good. Matt Stafford looks very good. I mean, he's back. Is fine.
He's not about to retire. That's the thing. I remember a week before the season, Stafford's back. I'm like, all right.
I'm old enough to remember that too.
I'm old enough to remember.
Yeah, I don't know. Should be a tough. I don't know. It's gonna be a tough game.
Well, hopefully, doing if you don't get a post game from me on Sunday, everybody, you'll know why. It's we fire drill over here. Otherwise, we'll do a post game Sunday, and that'll probably be it for the week next week. Probably, but we'll see. We're delving into a whole new world over here. So
awesome reactions on Substack Joko show. So check those out.
Yeah, maybe
fill the void.
Maybe maybe you're doing something on the channel Sunday if I'm not here. Man, that'd be a good idea, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mac Jones.
Yeah,
Connor.
Would Mac Jones guy you'd have a beer with, and Uber home? I guess.
So funny, dude. That guy's hilarious. He's so funny.
He's a great guy.
All right. Thank everybody. Talk soon. Later.